Hi, I'm Timothy Zahn, and I'm a scruffy-looking Nerf herder.
Bet you guys can't tell I was super excited to make that video. It's all fucking shaky. Anyways, welcome everybody.
This is awesome!
It was the greatest moment of my entire life. Can't wait to experience sex for the first time. I think that might be a close second. Anyways, welcome everybody to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders. This is a live video streaming podcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans.
We've only been doing this for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's I'm just really excited that I can't remember the fucking copy. Anyways, today we are going to be reviewing one of the greatest novels ever made, Heir to the Empire by the great and wonderful Timothy Zahn.
Now, those of you who have been with us for a little while have known that we have read and reviewed some of the earliest novellas / novels of Star Wars from the very beginning all the way until now. And we've gotten some very interesting ones, some sort of crazy ones, some that are very pulp fantasy oriented, and some that just completely shattered canon altogether. Mm-hmm. This was the first one that was just like straight up cinematic movie.
Yeah, this is the dawn of the golden age of Star Wars.
Oh man.
Like so you read the anniversary edition, right?
Yeah. And all of the footnotes, every
Jesus
one of them.
Fucking Christ. So is this your first time reading it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, first time. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's one of those things like of course I fondly remember this. Like this book literally is what made me the Star Wars fan I am today. Because of course I grew up with Star Wars. My entire family was obsessed with it. So that was just it was always there. I was always a fan. But just by pure chance, I came across the first 3 books, the trilogy, at a used bookstore. And I was like, fuck it. This will cost me like a nickel for all 3. No joke. I love used bookstores because of that. So I picked up the 3 hardcovers for like a fucking nickel and was like, even if it sucks, at least it wasn't expensive. Yeah. I blew through them in a weekend, pretty much.
Wow.
And it's just like opened my mind to just what else Star Wars can be. So really fun to revisit this one.
I don't think people really appreciate, especially now that we've had 40 plus years and tons of fucking books. And, some people like some more than others, and you don't really appreciate. But what we're doing on this particular channel, having gone through from the very beginning in chronological release order, we're actually getting an interesting insight into what Star Wars was like from 77 on. And I got to be honest, it's not what Child Adam thought it was. Yeah. I started playing West End Games' Star Wars role-playing game. We have a couple actual plays on this channel. When I was a young man in high school and out of high school. And still, even then, I didn't fully grasp the gravity of this particular novel specifically, because it's the one that introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn, Mara Jade, Sabaoth, or how do you pronounce the...
So I wrote it down because it is explained in the book.
I didn't see it in the book.
Yeah, it's one of the footnotes. That's the thing. Like those footnotes are so fucking easy to miss. Like I would catch myself reading through and like actively saying, okay, there's a footnote on this. I need to find the number and then read that. And I'd get to the end of the page, start flipping and realize I didn't fucking read it. Like I missed them so easily. But so it is, fuck how I was.
I've always said Caboth because it's C.
So it's not. It's Sabaoth.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's how it was spelled out phonetically, and that's how Zahn explained it.
Why don't they?
My book.
Because that's not phonetic with a hyphen. Mm-hmm. Like I don't understand why they make words insanely difficult that can only be pronounced one way. That, like, if you understand the English language, it's pronounced one way, but then the authors are like, no, actually, it's pronounced this way.
Well,
Like,
because that makes it
right,
alien.
but that's not the language. So
Yeah, it blew my mind because for what, like 15 years now or something, that's how I've always thought it was. Joruus Sabaoth. Nope, it is S-A, A as in has, so Sabaoth.
Sabaoth, or just Sabaoth?
Sabaoth.
Sabaoth.
Yeah, so it's S-A
Fuck off.
B-A-Y
Some bullshit.
O-T-H. Yeah.
Right.
I struggled the rest of the fucking book to pronounce it like that.
Yeah. Luckily, he's not in this one that much.
No, not yet. He's
in the trilogy, but
it's coming.
He's not a lot in this particular novel.
No.
I mean, I only know this story from the comics. And so, you know, and I've read them on the channel, and you can actually, you know, watch the live reads of the comics on this channel, which is great. We keep getting comments from people like, I've never been able to find this anywhere. This is amazing. This is great. Even though I've read them terribly, mispronounced everything. But still, you know, the fact that they're there, people can enjoy what is real Star Wars, not whatever is happening now. We got so many, to go back to the original point I was making, we got so many, like, characters that have legacies that expand far beyond this trilogy, that break through the cultural zeitgeist. I mean, we meet people who know Star Wars. They know Mara Jade, or they know Thrawn, but they don't know where they originated from. It was all Timothy Zahn. And he was a random author who had a contract with Bantam Books that Star Wars happened to tap on the shoulder and say, hey, do you think people would like Star Wars books? And Bantam was like, I don't know. Let's see.
I just love that. Like, this was only planned as a trilogy. Star Wars was just going to have an extra trilogy to let people know what happened after Return.
Sweet.
And this has
hell.
literally been what has carried Star Wars since 1991.
Yeah. There are some parts in this book, and we'll get into it here shortly, where I get a little bored. There's parts that I don't enjoy, but that's wildly overwhelmed by this is like a homecoming. This is what I wanted out of the sequel trilogy, where you're meeting characters that you are intimately familiar with since your childhood. You know how they're supposed to talk, how they're supposed to act. And Timothy Zahn got a bunch of shit because he pulled a bunch of quotes and stuff from the original film trilogy, but it fits with the characters in the moment that he's writing the characters. Yeah. And every single line is believable, in my opinion, from the character's mouth. Like, I can see
100%.
the actors playing the characters in this moment, and I can just feel the real sweeping gravity of this fledgling New Republic doing its best to get its feet underneath it, and the Empire just won't fucking quit. Oh, and it goes a little too far. Not in this novel, but in the EU. Like, the Empire persists way beyond their due-by date.
Yeah. Nope. They're 40 years after the fall of the Empire. They're still holding on, man.
I mean, if you got a dream.
Dude, yeah.
But goddamn, this started it off. Like, before we had that weird what was it? Spectre of the Mind's Eye, or the weird one with Luke and Vader. We had the Han trilogy, we had the Lando trilogy, and those were fun. But this was totally different. This was next level shit. Yeah.
This literally feels like a continuation of the movies.
100%.
Like,
it was so good to read.
He pulled some fucking magic out of his ass to pull this off, because it immediately, like, a couple pages in, you realize, oh shit, there wasn't a title crawl. I feel like there should have been a title crawl.
Yeah.
Because this just immediately throws you in and it feels like a fucking Star Wars movie. And
you're immediately presented with this concept that just because the Empire is gone, you know, I mean, it's not 100% gone, obviously, because the Thrawn is still around. But just because the Empire is gone doesn't mean the New Republic is like, everyone is happy. No, no, no. Those Bothans that stole the fucking Death Star schematics at great peril are now introduced into the New Republic, and they've got a fucking representative that is grubbing for fucking power. Just
Bela
grabbing.
is a cunt.
Oh, I
and
hate
he
him
only gets
so
worse,
much.
man. Like,
Oh my gosh.
he is the worst villain in this entire series.
I think it's
great.
It's made worse because he's a friend. He's supposed to be a part of the New Republic. He's supposedly acting on behest of the New Republic, but he's not. He's self-serving, just like the Empire. Shit fucking healed, just like the goddamn Empire's moffs or Grand Admirals or just fucking soldiers in general.
Yeah.
And what it presents is a galaxy that is believable, because this is what politics is. It's not good guys versus bad guys, and if the bad guys are defeated, you win. It's continuous conniving, dealing, fucking stabbing people in the back. That's what politics is. And for them to bring that into this sort of fantasy epic of Star Wars and bring what was originally a hero's journey into this wide, believable galaxy. I mean, fucking hats off. And he did it. Fucking Timothy Zahn is the very first one to break that fucking, like, just crack into that nut and just fucking own it. And sweet hell, like, you have to give hats off to West End Games for what they did, because they did a ton of development behind the scenes.
I was gonna say, like, the thing is, like, yes, he's the forefront of what brought this, but he straight up admits, he's like, look, you know, there were constraints that I had, and there were things I had to introduce, and quite frankly, the West End Games saved my ass. They were like an author's best friend because of all the information that they already had made up with the games and shit. And he's just like, I just fucking grab shit and throw it in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that is just him being a good human and a humble human, because he really did. He created a lot of stuff that's brand new, even though he did lean on that West End Games material and brought it to life. Because if you didn't have this novel for context, then you were just like, oh, well, this is the role-playing game. It doesn't really count because it's different, you know, it's not the movies or novels. But no, I mean, like, he legitimized the entire role-playing game supplements and recontextualized all of it into this whole new version of the galaxy. And I don't think he gets enough kudos for, like, launching the EU, even though he does get, you know, quite a bit of accolades for it. It should never end. Like, he should be given awards. Like, if there's like a medal for fucking authors of science fiction fantasy, he should have like a fucking neck full of them. Like,
he does, and he's earned every single one.
He's just goddamn amazing. So this was originally released in May 1991 by Bantam Spectra, of course, by Timothy Zahn. It's set in 9 ABY after the Battle of Yavin, 5 years after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and it introduces the trilogy's eponymous villain, Grand Admiral Thrawn, for the very first time. First of all, Chiss wasn't in the Star Wars vernacular.
Nope.
So, and motherfucking Mara Jade. She was in Jabba's palace when Luke and the heroes were fucking in there.
That's the thing. Like, that is... it still fucks me up to think how much, like, he's just like, yeah, no, there was a character there. You guys missed her. And it's like, yeah, obviously we did. No, the fucking Emperor's Hand, dude. It's... I fucking loved it. And it's so funny, too. So reading through this, you get to the note, you know, one of the footnotes, and he's talking about Mara Jade, Emperor's Hand, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, and you guys will see her real soon in The Choices of One, my upcoming novel. And it's like, God damn, this is fucking old. Like, I remember getting Choices of One brand fucking new.
Oh, really?
And it's like, shit, that was 12 years ago. Which, if you guys haven't read that one, that is probably one of my favorite Star Wars books.
Oh, wow.
Period. Like, it is amazing. But yeah, like, it's just... all these characters have been in my mind since the introduction. Because they're great characters. There's not a single one in here that's a fucking shit.
Yeah. And a Talon card, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. The thing is, I had to be reintroduced to them because I forgot a lot of this shit. Like, that was the great thing about reading this, is it's like there's so much that I forgot about, And then with those footnotes, like so much expansion on that. Like I
Mhm.
didn't realize how deep this fucking book was. There's so much philosophy involved.
Yeah.
Uh,
I really love the
so good.
context that the footnotes provided.
Mhm.
It was more like annotations than footnotes, to be quite fair,
Mhm.
because it's not referencing some other publication. It's just giving
Oh yeah, I keep
context to
calling
what
them
you're reading.
footnotes. They're notations.
Um,
That's what I
but
meant.
I mean, the point being, like it presents the novel in an entirely new light, and I wish they would
Mhm.
have done it with the other two in this particular trilogy,
I agree.
because I would love to continuously hear the author's thoughts. And we've reviewed the newest two trilogies of Thrawn already on this channel,
Mhm.
and I love Timothy Zahn's writing. I love how it's evolved. They're not as potent as this one.
No, and he's even straight up gone on record as saying, "Yep, Disney took my balls.
Yeah,
This is what you get because they won't let me give you a real book."
I mean, to read those two trilogies was awesome, but to revisit this one, it's whole nother level. This is
Mhm.
the greatest goddamn continuation of the cinematic universe before there was such a phrase of Star Wars, the extended universe, as we've affectionately referred to it as fans. And I love it with all my heart. Okay, so let's get into
Mhm.
some of the stuff here. This is called Heir to the Empire. It is set, again, 9 years ABY. We've got Han Solo and Leia together. We've got Leia's pregnant. We've got Luke training her in the ways of the Jedi, but she just can't finish the training because Mon Mothma is pulling her into and like not allowing her to
Yeah, like
fucking
straight up
train.
telling her, "Nope, you can do it after we've established peace."
Yeah, which is fucking crazy because that tells
Yeah.
you how invested Leia is into the New Republic,
Mhm.
into trying to bring peace and order, that she forsakes what she actually wants to do for the sake of this New Republic. And ultimately, I think to the New Republic's detriment, because
Mhm.
we know where it goes, which is a fucking shit show for a long fucking time. Aided by people like fucking Bothan asshat number 3,
Yeah.
Fela. I can't remember his full name, but fuck him.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I hate him so much. And the thing is like I liked Bothans because they sacrificed, they're the Bothan spy net. That was a thing. We didn't know what it meant, but
Mhm.
it was like a throwaway line by Mon Mothma to explain how they got the second Death Star's, the second motherfucking Death Star, bitches,
Oh, yeah.
tattooed by this guy. It's reverse. Like it completely added this whole like secret dimension to Star Wars. And then we finally see them like in positions of power and they're shit heels. And you're just like, why?
Right.
Can't we just have nice
Well,
things?
and it's so funny too because like very early on they explain why. It doesn't excuse it. Fuck Bothans.
Mm-hmm.
Like their code of ethics is significantly different than the majority of the galaxy.
Yeah.
But cool. They're just assholes. That's the explanation we needed.
It
Only
works
one.
for me. Chris brings a comment in here that it doesn't matter to me either way, but I can't tell if I am just, I've never grown up. I'm just a fucking loser. But when I was reading the last final pages of this novel, and it's not supposed to be evoking this emotion, I don't think, I was getting like teary eyed. I was genuinely getting emotional at the end of this novel. And there's no reason for it. I shouldn't, but it connected with something that is the core of who I am as a child inside that has never gone away. And it really fucking grabbed me like by the fucking balls. So he says he's enjoyed the book more than sex, though both involved years of joy. I assumed he meant tears and exchange of currency, which is fair. I really did like missed up at the end of this. I mean, does it matter? I mean, because it wasn't supposed to be that type of an ending. I didn't feel because they won.
No, they didn't.
They got away like from the big Imperial invasion. They escaped the remnant forces that were left on
Mikir.
Merker is how I pronounce it. How do you say it?
Mikir.
Mikir?
I just pronounce it that way
I'm
because
just
there's
gonna keep it in my
a
head.
band that sounds or that has basically the same name, so
really?
that's why. Yeah, no, I mean, same way. Like, I mean, it just brings you back to the first feeling you had when you first watched Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, really, and that's it. Like, that's what happened.
That's how good it is.
Like, anytime there's a good one, it's that same way, man. It's like, fuck. This legit reminded me why I love Star Wars.
Yep, 100%.
Everything else up until now, like the past few years, it's just been, well, I mean, the next thing might be good, or oh, well, that one thing was cool. This start to finish was just perfection, and it brought me back to the first time I fucking read it. The following years of just devouring the extended universe, a book or two a week.
Yeah.
It's just so goddamn good.
We've just been mired in this era of Star Wars where we've been forced to pick and choose elements to celebrate because the entirety of what we're given is just not good. And so we're like, oh, well, this part of it is great, or this one thing is awesome, and the rest of it's kind of garbage. This whole novel, I can't imagine someone who loves Star Wars not loving this, like every aspect of this novel,
so
even though I
weird.
admittedly say because I'm familiar with the story, there's parts that drag for me because they're not as interesting for me than others. But this should be the benchmark for everything going forward. If you're making a new show in Star Wars or a new film in Star Wars, read this novel and then make it, and then write it, because you're going to get the core of what is important about Star Wars from someone who's not George Lucas, who did take a fucking mantle and move beyond and was blessed by him for what he did. And it literally brought back Star Wars, so much so that in reflection, people don't even remember the Lando Calrissian or Han Solo or Splinter of the Mind's Eye novels because this one was so fucking good, they think this was the first one after all the other movies.
And that's the thing. So the first time I read this, again, this was my first introduction to the EU. Literally knew nothing. I just randomly picked up these books. These were so good. I thought this was established after years and years and years of other books, because it's like, oh, 1991. Well, the first movie came out in 77. That's almost 20 fucking years. Clearly, there's a whole bunch of other books, and this is so good because of those other ones. So to have it put into context of this was it. This was the fucking beginning. Was so fucking mind-blowing because it already felt so big, so vast. It was so nonchalant with the introduction of things that it's like, oh, well, that's been established in the galaxy for so long. Of course, you're just like, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, so fucking frustrating because it's like, why? You own the property. Why can't you do that?
Yeah. I like what Chris is saying. He doesn't normally recommend audiobooks over reading, but the Amazon audiobook was the best production you've ever heard. That is all Star Wars novels in general. Like, it doesn't matter which one. They do a really good job. They set the bar when it comes to sci-fi fantasy novel production value. And sometimes it's just like a transitional sound, but like Lucino, who does a bunch of the books that I've listened to, is just amazing.
Yeah, James Lucino, he's definitely one of my favorites in the Star Wars universe. Like, and it's so frustrating too because he got kicked the fuck out with the regime change.
That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. A dude with that legacy.
Everybody did. Everybody did, pretty much. The only person they kept on was Zahn, and I think it's just because people would have rioted.
It's fucking bullshit.
But like, you get rid of James Lucino, who, I mean, he did Revenge of the fucking Sith.
He was amazing.
Like,
he was amazing.
Fuck. Aaron Alston. I'm trying to remember. I want to say he was still alive during the regime change. But that was another frustrating one, especially for people like me, because I am obsessed with the fucking X-Wing series. Like, you can ask Adam every time we sign on to fucking Skype. It's Wraith 1 standing by. Like, I am obsessed with that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could keep going. It's the whole laundry list of people they kicked the fuck out who literally created Star Wars.
It's ridiculous.
I fucking hate you, Disney.
I want to double down on your Red Harvest Death Troopers. I mean, we've reviewed them on the channel and we've talked about them ad nauseum and how much we'd love to see them in film. But those audiobooks are dope as fuck.
They're the only ones
Good.
the only ones that I've listened to that are probably better has been from a certain point of view, just because it's like a traditional, anthology or collection or whatever, where they have different actors doing each one,
like a radio play almost.
And then, basically. And then, as much as I hated this series because it was terrible after probably like the first 2 chapters, but the High Republic novels, I only read the first 3.5. But there was a side novella in between 2 and 3, so it was technically 2.5.
Gotcha.
So I read those on Audible, and as much as the stories were terrible, it was a full cast, full sound effects. Like it was a Star Wars radio play.
Yeah.
That's usually how they go. And it's just, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge fan of, audiobooks in general, but Star Wars audiobooks do tend to be the best.
Oh yeah. So I liked another one of Chris's comments. The Empire was way more interesting in this than the sequel trilogy. And I want to sort of double down on that, because to recontextualize what the Empire actually was after Endor, they were a galaxy-wide force. So they defeated the Emperor and the Endor second Death Star, but like the reality is the Empire's still out there. And so what you end up finding is these disparate warlords all vying for authority and control and power, trying to bring back the Empire, or keep it going, I should say, under their rule. And Timothy Zahn introduces the concept for the very first time of a Grand Admiral, which wasn't a thing before then. And then a Chiss, Thrawn, who studies the art of a culture in order to learn their way of thinking. And that's a whole new way of, this is like old, like Chinese way of looking at war. This is like Sun Tzu, The Art of War type shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which you don't see in sci-fi novels traditionally. And certainly fantasy sci-fi, which Star Wars falls, pretty heavily into. So it was a whole new way of seeing this. And he has no force powers. He realizes he has limited resources. And so he's looking not only for machines, they need ships to go against this New Republic. They also have to turn the hearts and minds of the New Republic planets, which he knows he can't do. But he also is a student of history, and he knows that the Emperor was a goddamn force wizard. Darth Vader was a Dark Lord of the Sith. He needs someone that can help them with their battle strategy because they're outnumbered, outgunned. He needs something to put him over the edge. And so he looks for something that should not exist. A fucking fallen Jedi, a dark Jedi as he refers to him originally. I'm going to call him Kabouth. I don't care if it's right or wrong. That's how I've always been saying it in my head for years.
Yeah, it's really hard to say it correctly now.
Sayabouth, I don't fucking know. In any case, Kabouth, who is just a bitch. Just a total cunt.
Dude,
in his own rights.
Yeah, and he
just gets worse.
Yeah, he gets so much worse because he straddles the line we find out he's a clone.
Yeah, almost right off the bat. I feel like that would have been a secret you would have revealed like the third act of a third novel or something.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising to me too, because that's the cliffhanger in Dark Force Rising.
Yeah.
Nope. It's just as soon as we get the introduction, they go to Mount Tannis, that's where the Emperor had his stash of all his goodies he didn't want people to get.
Secret lair.
And where
he kept his porno mags.
They were some really good porno mags.
Seriously,
like some shit that will send you to fucking hell easily. So he
not
goes,
even legal in Germany is what we're saying.
Right. That's the best way to put it. So he goes to Mount Tannis to find this shit. He goes to talk to the Guardian, and Joruus is like, I killed the Guardian. I am the all-powerful overlord here. You can't have shit, but I want shit. Yeah, you can't have it, but what if I give you power? I have all the power I need. Nah, you don't. Okay. And he's just insane. And you get that right from the beginning, and it only gets better as the books go on. Like, he is legit batshit crazy.
Yeah. I love how it's just this constant, you promised me followers. Where are my motherfucking followers? And he's just like, yeah, it's in the mail.
It's like, dude, you don't just go to fucking Walmart and buy a fucking Jedi, dude.
It's not like we're not trying, but it's Luke.
It's like you're literally sitting here on the command bridge with us. You should know, hey,
Luke
we're trying
Leia.
to find you the fucking Jedi.
But I love, like, first of all, he was like, we could capture Luke Skywalker. And he's like, we could capture Leia, Organa, Solo. She's pregnant with twins. Done.
Yep. I mean, to be fair,
give me the babies.
I mean, it'd be easier to raise baby Jedis than full-grown Jedi.
It's weird sitting where we are, knowing where it goes, and you're just like, there's so much tragedy with these babies, and then another child comes in, and then we get like the new Sith Lord, and you're just like, fuck, these Solo kids had no chance from the gate.
That is so frustrating too with Anakin. Like, George is like, nah, that's probably confusing to people now that you've already built this character and he's grown up and we've all seen him grow up. You guys got to kill him. It's like, you fucking turd.
I do like how his death affects and carries the trajectory of the story, though, moving forward. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, that's decades down the
really
line.
good storytelling, though. I mean, you guys really need to dive into the EU. So with this, I mean, even before he gets to, I thought it was Tantis, but whatever it is, once he gets there,
or maybe
I'm thinking of Tanis Half Elven as a totally different story character. But once he gets, like, this is how we are introduced to Talon Card, because he goes to Murker and they have this being, this creature called a Ysilamari. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, nope. I've never been able to pronounce it. Audibly, it's always just been something in my head because I'm a dumb American.
Anytime there's a Y, I go with the E sound. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I just do it. So Ysilamari is how I pronounce it. But anyway,
that sounds right.
And he got a lot of shit for this too. But they nullify the Force, which ironically everyone bitched about. And then, of course, later on we get the Yuuzhan Vong, which are just like immune. So I feel like the Ysilamari was like a precursor to just fuck with our emotions into the future with the fucking Yuuzhan Vong, because fuck me, that was some shit.
Yeah.
And that led to the fall of the greatest hero the Republic ever had in Chewbacca. So protecting his fucking life partner's kid oh god damn, it just brings emotion right into my brain.
Yeah. That was a very awkward moment when I found that out about Chewbacca's death, because he was in the gym talking to some random dude there, and he was telling me about it, and it's like,
oh wait, what?
Do I cry now? Do we hug? My name's Cameron, by the way.
Yeah, you didn't even know each other.
No, I didn't. It was the first time I'd ever talked to this dude. I thought I was gonna get my ass kicked, because I'm sitting, like, I'm doing my my warm ups. I'm on a bike, so I'm reading, and just some fucking jock looking dude walks up. You reading a Star Wars book? I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna get the shit kicked out of me. He's like, yeah. He's like, what are you reading? And I was like, this. Oh my god, and it was a friendship that lasted probably a good solid year. Like every other day, talking Star Wars with some dude while working out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the best way to work out.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it was.
I wish I could work out that way. No, I love that we were introduced to Talon Card, who is a smuggler, as shitty as Han Solo could ever be in his worst day, but he has a sense of honor, just like Han Solo. And then, of course, he is connected with Mara Jade. He doesn't quite understand her. She doesn't want to reveal who and what she actually is to anyone until, of course, we get to Luke Skywalker's imprisonment. But, like, I really liked Talon Card a lot. I like his comic book appearance more than he's described in the book, and I love the note that he puts in the book. Like, clearly, when they were drawing this character for the comics, they didn't pay attention to the description, because it's totally different. It's like, yeah, but I don't know, man. It was the 80s, or it was like the early 90s, so like, you kind of need long hair and a beard. That's just kind of, or a big mustache or whatever it was. That was just the era.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a bad guy, you got to have that. Everybody knows that.
Talent card was just so cool because not only was he playing both sides against each other at his best, sometimes he found himself where, especially in this novel, where he was like sort of forced to pick a side, but even then he still was sort of trying to work it because he doesn't want a side. He just wants to make money. He wants to smuggle. That's what he does. And that's how he pays the bills. And he's got a lot of people. And we're introduced to so many smugglers in his payroll, and each of them have an equal perspective and character and personality that's wildly different. I mean, I've like written down a list of every goddamn character that was mentioned, and I didn't put like 4th or 5th grade, characters that are so removed that it doesn't really matter, but like all the major characters, and we're looking at like close to 20 some odd or more characters just in this one novel that he wrote and gave personality to, and they all feel wildly different. They don't feel like clones of like, oh, this is a smuggler, so he must act like this. No, they're all super different, and they all like sort of vie for some sort of positions of authority between each other, or it feels like a real lived world to the credit of the author, because that's what Star Wars was successful for, because it felt like a lived universe. Everything was dirty and grungy.
Well, plus you add the new introduction of a new species. Yeah. And they just felt so fucking like that's them. And that was the Nori. Like,
oh, the Nogri. Yeah.
So fucking cool. And it's crazy too, because like I can't honestly say I had an idea of what they really looked like. I mean, of course, I've read the book, so I get the idea basically, but it wasn't until reading it this second time with the notations of him being like, yeah, I wanted that to be the basis of Darth Vader's aesthetics. And it's so like, of course, later on we find out with, Revenge of the Sith, this is why he looked the way he looked. But yeah, like that immediately changed how I looked at those creatures. Like, they're not just these little fucking evil Ewoks. They're straight up like evil Vader Ewoks.
Yeah. It was so cool. And as I loved the appearance of them in the comics and how they were drawn. When we saw the new version I think it was in Rebels, we saw them with Rook. I didn't like him at all. It looked like a monkey or something. It was weird.
Man, that's the thing. Like, they fucking shat all over Thrawn and everything around him 100%. When he was reintroduced. Like, I know a lot of people lost their minds. I have been nothing but underwhelmed this whole time. Which, fun little side note. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because you didn't necessarily read this before. Well, I guess you did because you read the comics.
Yeah, I knew the story.
So, did you read it before you saw Rebels?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, what was Thrawn's voice in your mind? Or did you go that deep into the character when reading?
No, because the comics are like sort of one-liners, or you get maybe a paragraph in exposition or something.
Right,
so so I never heard the description of his voice. So I thought he just talked like, I always thought like an admiral, like that you would find in like any random Star Trek movie. Just like this is how it blah 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 blah.
So funny enough for me, I kept switching between the original voice that was in my head when I read it the first time. And then when I considered it, it was like, well, no, it's Lars Mikkelsen. Like that's the voice. So it kept going between John Noble, so Denethor, specifically Denethor. Why, I don't know, but it was Denethor. It kept switching between those two, and it was so fucking weird to me. But it's like, how do I get rid of that voice? Like, he did a decent enough job as Thrawn, but God, that's not it for me.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm down with the whole whisper thing that they've got in the new version. Like that's just kind of weird to me, but whatever. I don't care.
Like, the thing is, yes, he's a subdued. He's a calm, thought out man, but project a little. Yeah. Like, you are a grand fucking admiral,
and he gets fucking
galactic
pissed
empire.
In this. Yeah. Like, there's moments where like he sort of loses his cool, and then he recollects himself, and it fucking terrifies Pallian.
Fucking execute somebody.
Yeah, like this is like day one. They're like out for their first jaunt. back into the fucking core worlds, and he's just like, how did you let this motherfucker go? He's like, I was never taught this procedure. And he's like, did you teach him the procedure? He's like, well, I traditionally do. We might have, gone over it briefly. He's like, killed him, Rook. Or the Nogri. I can't remember what his name is now, for fuck's sake.
That's Rook.
Is it Rook?
Yeah.
It just reminds me too much of fucking... Anyway. So he just fucking kills his, like, right off the bat. I'm just like, you're like Vader 2.0. You're like, you're not as cool, and you need like a douchebag like Sabal's help to really be super threatening. But you're a dick. Like you've proven to be an asshole. Congratulations. The part where Thrawn kills the officer that trained the rookie was so perfect. He killed the rookie, right?
No, he killed the officer.
What?
Yeah,
no,
because
he killed the rookie.
No, he killed the officer because the officer fucked up. Like he shot the ensign. And then promoted
Didn't the Nogri kill the fucking censor guy that let Skywalker go?
No, it was essentially the person over him. Fuck us.
First of all, Chris, that is not a sentence that's ever been written before in the world. So stop right there. All right, I will concede. I really thought it was the fucking rookie that fucked up, but
well, I mean, the rookie did
not.
fuck up, but the rookie also wasn't taught that. So it wasn't his fault that he wasn't taught something. It was the failure of command. Because that's much more effective. That's the thing. That's absolutely. But yeah, like that's way more effective as a fucking training device to kill the person that fucked up on training versus the person who didn't get trained.
Right. All right. Well, in any case,
I could be wrong. It was probably like 2 or 3 when I was reading that, but still.
No. I mean, there's 2 people, saying that I'm wrong, so I'll own it. But the point is like he proved that he is ruthless, and he has reason for the actions he takes. He's not just vindictive like Vader was. It's like, you failed me for the last time, and he murders them. No. There's a reason why I murdered this douche and not that douche, or all of you. It's to prove that if you're going to fail in his teaching, then you're going to fail in other people's teaching, and that's not what we need. We need excellence at all times. And I love that, because that's not what we got in the Empire before. This is like... it's going to throw in too much weird fantasy fucking mumbo jumbo if I do that. But this is recontextualizing the Empire from...
Yeah, don't bring weird fantasy mumbo jumbo into a Star Wars podcast. That's just weird.
I would have to make too much explanations on it.
Oh, okay.
But what it does is it takes what was the Empire, where each individual was working against each other to vie for positions of authority and power. So they weren't all working to one unified end as much as they were to their own personal glory. No, everyone is now working to a unified end. We are all working with the Grand Admiral Thrawn, and we are going to serve him so that the Empire will see its might wholly unified and realized. And they're brilliant in their tactics. They don't always work. And that's why I think Thrawn is such a great leader, because he is not so full of himself or so blind to be able to see his own missteps through the chaos of combat and make choices of, okay, well, now we need to retreat. They have the battle, but we will take the war. We need to pull back. I'm not going to go in a full force, even though Paleon really wants to make those traditional Empire mistakes of just putting everything against the wall and hoping it sticks. But Thrawn's like, no, simmer down, back up, homie. This is what we're going to do, and there's a reason for it.
And it's I love having Paleon there because it's the counterpoint to, kind of like what you're saying, where that's original Empire thinking, Thrawn's the progressive, like New Age Empire. So you get that contrast. And it's always fun because you can tell that Paleon served under Vader because he's always so convinced that, oh shit, that didn't work. Someone's going to die. And Thrawn's not that way. Like, with the exception of the execution in the very beginning of the book, which wasn't really the beginning, but towards the beginning of the book. There's time like the finale where they're at Sluice Fawn and they're fucking losing. And he's like, okay, just pull everybody back. Let's leave. Yeah. And before then, you're getting the inner dialogue of Paleon being like, he's gonna fucking kill somebody. I might die. We're fucked. This is it. We are over. And then like he even questions Thrawn when Thrawn's like, nah man, let's pull out. It's cool. We don't need those. We can find something else. And that's after losing like what was it, 50 fucking ships? Capital ships.
It was brutal. I mean, the ultimate story is Thrawn needs to get C'baoth so that he can effectively stand up against the Alliance forces because of his deteriorating numbers of Empire forces. But he's also looking for extra ships. And so he reaches out to Talon Karrde, not just for ships, but also for the Ysilmari in order to get C'baoth to come with him. And C'baoth can't turn against him because he has the Ysilmari, which nullifies the Force, in order to keep him working. He uses the promise of Leia, Luke, and Leia's children to leverage C'baoth into his employ, I guess. And then we have the heroes. So if that's not enough to contend with, we already mentioned the New Republic with the fucking the Senator Phala, or I don't know what the fucking terminology is for some reason. But Phala, the Bothan, is doing his best to just bring down Akbar because Akbar's a war hero. And the only way that Phala can have any sort of semblance of control is to get the old war heroes out so that he can leverage himself in their stead. And he's leveraging a bunch of other people and a bunch of other systems to that end, the other senators, I should say, of systems. And so the New Republic is forced to combat not just exterior forces, but interior as well. It's almost doomed to failure from the start, even though, to Zahn's writing, they have more worlds aligned than the Empire ever had in the New Republic. So it's got a good start, but it's toxic. There's a poison underneath here, and it's all Phala all day long. So Luke is doing his best because he's got to not just recontextualize the idea of, I got to train my sister, I've got to rebuild the whole Jedi Order, but I've got to be the protector of the fucking New Republic during this transitionary period. And Han is doing his best. He's like resigned his generalship. He's trying his best to get other smugglers to help the New Republic because they just simply don't have the resources to bring help to all the different worlds or supplies or anything. So they have to leverage his old smuggling contacts to add help, which is what ties in both Thrawn to Talon Karrde and Han Solo to Talon Karrde. And there's this great moment where C'baoth reaches out to Luke through the Force, and Luke's like, "Oh, I got to go find out what this is all about. There's another Jedi out here. I've got to check this." And it was basically a trap set by C'baoth and Thrawn, and it almost fucking kills Luke. Like they almost got his ass if it wasn't for Mara Jade. So she sensed him through the Force. It never said if it was overt or she just sensed something. And so they dropped out of hyperspace, picked him up.
Well, so what it was they had, of course, gotten the transmission from the Chimera about, hey,
bounty.
Anybody in the area, fucking, you find this X-Wing, we got some money for you. So because of that, that's why they went out there. But she was able to find him because of his presence in the Force.
I thought Talon said straight up they were doing a different job, and she's the only reason why they stopped.
He told that to Thrawn. Or wait, no.
He said it to Han
was
for sure. Solo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So he didn't tell Thrawn that. That would have.
Yeah, no. He was telling Thrawn, "Oh yeah, no, we didn't go because it was already over."
Yeah.
What do you mean it was already over?
Damn it!
I don't know. I figured because you can only live in space for oh so long with your shit destroyed because
the whole no oxygen thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, that was the one of the coolest fucking parts of this was the idea of battle meditation. Like that's how the Emperor was so powerful, and that's ultimately how the Empire fell. Was once the Emperor died, he no longer controlled the entire fucking armada, and they lost.
It's so cool, and it just you don't think that there's anything that could be written that would make Emperor Palpatine seem more badass. And then the whole time he's fucking with Luke, he's actually controlling the battlefield that's happening out of his viewport too.
Yeah, like that's the insane thing.
It's such a badass.
Yeah, insane.
The best. But I love the fact that so Talon Karrde picks up Luke, And he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with him. And he's genuinely not sure. Like, should I give him over the Empire? I don't know. Let's see what other offers are on the table. And all Mara Jade wants to do is murder this motherfucker. But Talon won't let her. And it's not like Talon has like power over her. She could easily overwhelm him and kill him. But she is in this weird transitionary state in her life where she's trying to not just let go of her past, but recontextualize her present. And she's trying to live this whole new existence, hiding it entirely, her past, from Talon as well, who's constantly trying to dig in and figure out who the fuck she is and what the fuck she came from. But then ultimately, Luke being Luke, of course, he's going to escape whatever confines because he's a badass, even without force powers, which is why I love this man with all my heart.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not a character. He's a man. I believe he's real in my heart.
Hell yeah, he is.
Galaxy far, far away. And
like R2.
With R2, gets out of the goddamn storage shed that they move him into once Thrawn comes back into the area to pick up more Isalamere, or just to, sniff around for Luke's farts to see if he's in the area. I imagine they smell like that ozone smell of like soldering wires. Is it because of his hand? I don't know.
Okay. I
like,
wasn't
what?
sure why. It was like,
definitely
that's a very, very distinct smell.
Yeah.
Have you sniffed an asshole like that before?
My own.
Okay.
Every
That makes
day.
sense.
I just stink palm myself. I just huff it. So then it leads to Luke escaping and Mara going on the hunt. And this is my least favorite part of the entire novel.
Really?
I hate this part of the novel. And it's not like it's badly written or anything. It's just, I know where they end up. And that's in fucking love and marriage and having like babies with Ben Solo. Like, I know where it ends. And travesty with fucking Mara. But there's love, and this is not that. This is
even love beyond the grave.
Yeah. This is so before any of that, that I don't like her hating him because I know where they're going to end up. I just want them to be like, I love love. I'm a romantic. I need it. And
That's
she
funny.
fucking hates him so much.
Oh.
I'm just like, you bitch, love him. Love him as much as I do.
See, that's the fun part about like going through this again after all of that shit, is because it's like there was so much venom between them. Like, she just could not wait to fucking murder his ass, but slowly and just diabolically,
and she was that close in this novel.
Yeah, it continues up until the point where they finally fuck and then get married and fall in love and all that shit. And of course, it's only heightened by the fact that Luke is always like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. Can we get along?" And shit. He's so chill about everything. Like, even when he finally gets his lightsaber back, fucking kills the
and he gives it back,
chick or whatever, and she's like, "You need to hand it back." Okay, here you go.
I mean, if I was him, I'd been like, "Fuck off!" Like, come on, we're working to a mutual end. I'm gonna need a weapon. Like, I would not have just given it up. But that's who Luke is. Like, the guy, motherfucking remnants of the Empire tried to crash his wedding. And he invited the dude to stay. And he's like, no, you're welcome in the New Republic. I understand what you're going through. You feel this way. We've all felt that way. Join us and we can work through it. He is such a good human. To see what they did in the sequel trilogy is like a fucking hot iron poker to my face.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just not the character, for fuck's sake.
No, it's so far removed. It could have been a much better character if it was somebody that wasn't Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just some random Jedi that we don't know about. If it was Cabal. Yeah, exactly. It could have been the clone of the clone. And it would have been like, oh, okay, yeah. No,
or Luke. Luke's clone. The two U's. That comes later. Fucking weird.
My God. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, of course, they get back. And the original conclusion to this novel was them breaking through that Thrawn little remnant force to get back to, basically the New Republic, get out of the jungle. But the editor, to her credit, because sweet hell, she was right, needed to add in that Sluice Van assault to really make it feel cinematic, because it is Star Wars.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I totally understand why he was going to end it there, because if you think about it, like, that was an excellent battle. All the while on a planet where, what did they say? It was like 12 kilometers, like, above the planet was where the dome of the fucking snake monkey things, like, their force powers
right. How
was gone.
Yeah, work together. Yeah.
So Luke took down a fucking stone arch to destroy a giant fucking what was it? What do they call it?
Hey, Pika fan, how you doing?
So
It was a huge stone arch. I don't know. I mean,
well, no, I'm trying to remember what kind of a chariot. It was a chariot. That's what
that
it
was the machine, the Empire's machine.
Yeah, that was the starship that was down, and that was everybody was freaking out about, like, oh my god, we're not gonna be able to get through if they land. And yeah, he took that down with his fucking lightsaber, without the force,
with his
like, just
dick.
being a badass. Yeah, it's like, I understood why that would have been the ending, but yes, to your point and the editor's point, the way it actually ends, so much better.
I was so excited seeing them come out of the jungle, because then, of course, we're reintroduced to Lando Calrissian, and his Lando Calrissian in this is so true to the character. I just love it. He's like, look, you people think you know what the fuck the Empire is. I've been here. I've been in your shoes. I know. I had Vader at my doorstep. I understand what it's like. You're doing it wrong. Like, please don't do the mistakes I had.
Yes, Pika.
So good.
And Timothy Zahn got a lot of shit for introducing hot chocolate into this.
I don't understand why. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, it's fucking hot chocolate. Who gives a shit? And that's fucking awesome.
Like,
and
chocolate's one of the most amazing things ever. So
to quote him, why would anyone want to live on a galaxy that far, far away if they don't have hot chocolate? Inconceivable.
Seriously. Inconceivable.
Agreed, sir. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, for all this ways to, like, lose their mind. Like, why is he drinking hot chocolate? Okay, it's blue.
Right.
Fuck off. Like, who gives a
right.
fuck?
That's like, fuck. I mean, this is what, like 8 years after the Ewok adventures. They introduce fucking ferrets and snakes and other random Earth animals. Like, come on, you're gonna throw a fit over this? Fuck you.
Well, I just want to go back to Lando really quick, because he's straight up like, look, I trust Luke. If he says he needs like a 3 count, we're gonna give him a motherfucking 3 count. Like, just let him do his shit. He's a Jedi, and they're like, mother, you're so. He's like, shut up, it's Luke.
Right, and that's even after getting shot and then having a window blow the fuck up over, like, in front of him.
That's the best part.
Yeah,
is that Lando is taken out in his effort to support this. Like, no one should believe this plan is going to work. Like, no one even knows what the fucking plan is. Luke is just like, everyone, do what I say when I say it, and it'll be okay. And everyone's like, it's a fucking battle, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
He's like, no, just hold on. R2.
So goddamn good.
Oh, goddamn
So
it.
good.
So fucking epic.
And just like, this is where we really start to see just how much of a hero R2D2 is. I mean, of course, we get it in the movies.
Best.
And
we really get it in the prequels, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I swear to God, like, the authors of the EU all try to one up each other to make him just this beast of a fucking presence. And I mean, so much so that in the later novels, like, he takes a fucking direct hit from oh my God, why am I having a blank? Thermal detonator, like one of the most devastating handheld weapons. Yeah, in the Fate of the Jedi series, he takes a fucking direct hit from a thermal detonator, and then just walks it off, like, just comes rolling out like, fuck, you guys thought that was gonna get me? Who the fuck you think I am?
Well, this is the first time we're introduced to the idea of wiping droids, because it wasn't mentioned in the original trilogy.
Nope.
And so we're first introduced to this idea, like, no, you get a new droid, you wipe their memory, and Luke is like, whoa, simmer down there, Tex. Like, I like him the way he is. Like, we're not going to change him. He's fucking R2. Like, don't do it.
And the X-Wing, too.
Yeah, and the X-Wing
that's
is all modded, and they use that. There's this weird conversation or language that, like shorthand, that R2 has with the X-Wing because it's so modded out and stuff. I like that aspect of it has never really been brought about until Solo, a Star Wars story, with the Millennium Falcon because of L7?
L3.
L3, sorry. L3 is sort of embedded into it, which just pays off this whole concept that was brought out in this novel, which is why I didn't mind it at all. I mean, I didn't mind it anyway because it's fun storytelling, but
Yeah, absolutely.
and so it completely sets up this whole new idea of R2 being separate from all other droids. No. He has lived his experiences. That's what makes him weird. That's why I love him. Don't fucking touch R2. He's a hero in his own right because of that. I love it so much. And so we think, okay, well, everything's fine. Luke and Han are going to go back to Leia. They're going to talk to Phaela, smack him around a couple times, and it's all going to be okay. Out of the frying pan into the motherfucking fire because they stopped by Sluis Van to get repairs for the X-Wing, and there just happens to be a war going on.
Right.
The worst fucking... I mean, first of all, there's a lot of contrivances in this. Han and Lando ending up at Talon Card to get a slicer, and they just happen to be there at the same time that Luke is on the run, and then Thrawn comes in and stuff. So there's a lot of like, coincidences, but that's storytelling. What are you going to do? It worked for me personally. I didn't feel like it was like too heavy-handed or anything.
Yeah,
that's kind of Star Wars, that's what it's always been.
Exactly. I mean, and it's even mentioned in the book, like, what happened if this one minute thing didn't happen? None of this would have happened. So it's like, yeah, of course that's going to work out, whether it's the Force intervening or if it's just coincidence. Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah. Ironically, we haven't even talked about Leia at all.
The funny thing is, in the notations, Zahn talks about how he wanted to give equal play to all the main cast. And he's like, it sucks. I really, really tried to put Leia into this more. She's a much bigger presence in the other two books.
Yeah.
But we didn't get nearly as much from her in this, but I felt like her moments were actually pretty goddamn good. Like, of course, they're constantly getting assassination attempts. So finally they split up, her and Han, and she's like, hey, Chewie, let's go to Kashyyyk, because why not? And yeah, her whole experience there was so cool.
Pika fan, to your question, how would you feel about Mara Jade being brought into canon? In my head, she's always been canon. I don't like the whole idea of like legends and modern. I've been more unhappy with modern than happy. And so EU is canon for me.
Yeah, in my opinion, Pika, like, I wouldn't want her brought into canon.
I just be afraid they'd fuck her up.
Look at Thrawn.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, nothing against Lars Mikkelsen. He's an excellent actor. I don't like it. And aside from Grand Admiral Thrawn, one of my other all-time favorite characters that's not from the OG trilogy is Mara Jade, because she's fucking awesome. They'd fuck it up. Yeah. Plus, with the current movies and all that shit, it wouldn't make sense. Like, how are you going to introduce her and have the same impact that you would when...
Yeah, they clearly subdued Luke Skywalker for Ahsoka, so there's no role for her.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense, and she wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
So...
If we get like this one-off scene with this red-headed girl with Luke, and then Ahsoka like pops smoke into some other new adventure, it would almost feel like an insult. I know the authors or the filmmakers would be like, "Look at the Easter egg, ha ha!" But for the fans, we'd just be like, "Fuck you!" Like, fuck off.
No, I agree. So, Pika fan, we need to. I desperately want to hear this. So you should absolutely mention it.
You had a fan cast for Mara. You know what? This might be controversial. Two actresses, both of them played the Joker's girlfriend.
Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn. So it's both of the actresses that played her recently. So it would be Lady Gaga, I think could do a good fucking Mara Jade. Give her some fucking red hair. I think she could pull it off. And then Margot Robbie, I think, could definitely do it.
See, I'm totally fucking biased, and I know it's not even really possible, just because age happens to us all. But Shannon McRandall, dude, like Shannon
that is.
You'll find out here in 2 seconds. That's the live action model of Mara Jade.
Oh.
Like that's who the paintings were made up off of. Like she's fan-fucking-tastic,
That's
cool as shit. Like that, I don't know if I could see somebody else play Mara Jade and actually think of them as Mara Jade.
Ooh, Chris, that would be interesting. She was the girl from the southern. I'm having a hard time remembering the fucking vernacular because my head's all Star Wars right now. I know exactly who you're talking about. She would be probably pretty good too, as an actress. In any case, okay, I don't want to go on fan casting. We're already past our hour here. Ultimately,
oh my god, we are. Holy shit.
Leia, I mean, we could do fucking 3 hours easy.
Yeah, funny enough, I was joking to my wife, this is probably going to be 3 hours, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's true. So, Luke and Han are dealing with, of course, we get our first taste of what the X-Wing books are going to be like with this first introduction.
Wedge Antilles.
With Wedge Antilles and the X-Wing unit. And then, of course, Sluis Van assault. By all rights, they should have lost that. Mm-hmm. And that's like Lando. The only reason why Lando's involved in this is because Han went to him looking for a sort of a slicer. But then also Lando's like, there's like, I'm missing mining equipment. Like, what the fuck happened? And ends up like that mining equipment is holding troops, and the first time we get a space trooper is in this novel, and these mines are going into the ships so that they can invade and take over the ships, which is a whole new tactic. It felt very like the Star Wars, is it Dark Republic? Dark Empire, the video game that I just played, the fucking Dark Forces is what
Dark Forces, there we go.
It felt very Dark Forces
it's like it's on
to
my fucking desktop and I couldn't even remember what the hell it was.
I mean, I fucking played through it on this channel. But, I mean, it was dope as fuck. And to see that, and like just the troopers with these like mini fucking concussion missiles and shit and floating through space is like a real threat. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, just a fucking stormtrooper with a jetpack and proton torpedoes.
Pew pew.
I love to just how fucking like they straight up remind me of the I forget what the fuck they're called, but the dudes that spray paint in their face in Mad Max movie. Like that's all I'm thinking when Thrawn's like, okay, get everybody back. Come on, everybody get back. And then he's having to send out fucking TIE pilots to go pick these bastards up because they refuse to come back. And they're just like, no, fuck you. No! Oh, so
tagging ships.
Yeah.
So cool. Ultimately, Sluis Van was a failed, but an experiment of a moment of learning for Thrawn, which I love so much about his character. And really, that's what we need to. Any failure in life is an opportunity to learn, and we should all take those opportunities because life is full of failure, and we can't just stew and I'm a loser. No, you can learn and be better. Anyway, So then we cut over to Leia, who has this whole other arc. So Kabouth wants Leia and Luke ultimately. But he's trying to lure Luke, but he's trying to capture Leia because Thrawn's actually trying to capture him to shut the fuck up, shut Sabath up. And he's sending the Nogri out to get her. She ends up getting to a point where she's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to
Kashyyyk.
Thank you. Kashyyyk with Chewbacca. And they get there, and I love I have his name here somewhere, but the Wookiee with the speech impediment just happens to make him understood by humans. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, what's different about you that you can speak? You must be more advanced. He's like, actually, I have a fucking speech impediment.
Yeah, that's the best goddamn part. Well, it's funny too, like the subtlety of what she thinks she's going into versus what she actually gets when she gets there is so crazy, because she's like, I'm nervous to be there because yeah, Wookiees probably don't like humans because of what the Empire did. And then she gets there and she's like, hey, man, sorry. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? We owe you guys a fucking life debt. Like, we want you here. We want to help. It's like, we would still be slaves or worse if you hadn't intervened. So it was fun to see that interaction of
mad respect.
Like, just what happens when two people actually talk. You know, it opens up everything. Yeah.
This is also the first time I know of that we get Wookiee claws.
Yep, that it was noted that that's the first time we got Wookiee claws.
Super fucking cool. They got these massive fucking claws, and they're technologically advanced. They just prefer to live in a more harmonious state with their environment, which is also, like, personally what I appreciate as well in life.
Well, and that's what Lucas himself even had set up.
Yeah.
But when it came to Revenge of the Sith, it's just like, what the fuck was that? Like, we got more experience with them being like, you know, the duality of civilization, like being able to combine both in the fucking Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Versus the movies.
Yeah. That was a really good game. Yeah. That was a really good game. All right, so ultimately she's blown away by Wookiee culture. She had no idea, and I love that we get so... I mean, there's still a lot open, but we get like this glimpse into a Wookiee culture that has never been shown to us before, and I really appreciate it. Like, I'm genuinely full on here for it, even though I've played a bunch of fucking video games that have explored it at this point. But to know that this is the first, you know, intro that we had to that is really fascinating. And then, of course, the Nogri being intelligent assassin culture, or at least trained into that culture, the warriors that are coming after her. I was just so surprised and blown away that he could smell the Vader on her. He was like, I can smell your pussy from here.
Dude, I did completely forgot about that.
It was so ridiculous.
And it's like, oh my God, Lady Vader. Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, that's a thing. I forgot.
It's amazing because, first of all, the impact that a single entity has on your entire culture, that we'll learn later on that is actively poisoning your culture. But the single entity that has an entire, like, such an impact that you will smell them on their offspring. It's so strange. Like, what is it? Like,
it makes you wonder, like, how bad does she smell? Because Vader literally lived in leather.
You know, he was ripe.
And plastil, yeah. So it's like, how bad does she fucking stink?
His little bubble on his Star Destroyer that opened up and his helmet came, like, sucked on his head. When his commander came over, he's like, the Emperor would like to see you. He's like, tell him I'll be right there. And like that, the smell that wafted out had to just be like sweat and funk. Like the worst BO ever. Yeah.
Definitely.
The worst. And to know that Leia has it too. I'm just like, good on you, Han. To be able to fucking manage that shit.
I could manage it. Just saying. I could do it. Don't care.
I would like to fucking knock boots with Winter personally.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, she kept getting mentioned in this, but it's like, I swear she had a bigger role in this first book.
She ends up, like, in the EU, she ends up being the nursemaid, which is a fucking insult because she was like this secret operative. She started as like a duplicate of Leia, but ended up being like this like secret operative spy. And then she ended up being a fucking housewife.
Yeah, but like a nursemaid. Also went back to being a fucking essentially an assassin for the New Republic.
Yeah.
So she's like, always a badass, just different degrees of badass.
And isn't it the fucking X-Wing guy that like sort of knocks boots with her?
Yeah.
He was in the X-Wing books, right?
I
read the comics. I'm not 100%. Any case, I'd fuck her. I'd fuck that comic. All right. Ultimately, she tells the Nogri, look, the Emperor is lying to you. The Empire has always lied to you. I want to find out the truth. I'm going to go to your home planet. They call off the assassination attempts. And that's kind of where we leave the novel. Thrawn regroups. Cabalth is still like chomping at the bit to have his Jedi fucking students. Doesn't even know he's a fucking clone.
And he has Luke by the balls.
Yeah,
Luke
and
is going.
Luke is he's sniffing that. He's like, let me see that finger again. Is that pussy or ass? I can't tell. I'm gonna come find you and find out. And ultimately, Leia is gonna go to the Nogri home planet to figure out what the fuck. And that,
By herself.
I mean, ultimately, she's gonna have like C-3PO and Chewbacca with her, and it's gonna be a super cool like shit. Like I can't wait for the next books. But this one ended in such a beautiful way because not because of the ending itself, but because of what it portended. That the story of our favorite characters is going to continue in an ultimately satisfyingly cinematic way that we had not gotten since the original trilogy 20 years before, for fuck's sake. So brilliant writing by Timothy Zahn. This is an amazing novel. Everyone who likes Star Wars, even just tangentially, is aware of it, should read this novel because it will get you 100%.
It's easy, man. I mean, it's 414 pages with the afterword. I did it in 4 fucking days, pretty well. Technically, like 3 days. It's not difficult. Yeah. It's difficult to put down, though. Definitely difficult 100%. To put down.
Did you have a favorite part of this novel?
No, I've been thinking about that since I finished that, so I would have something to say. No, like just this book in its entirety is just fucking perfection. It's
so good.
Like there's not a single thing about this that I can be like, I didn't like that.
Yeah. I think my favorite part would be the feeling I had when I finished it. Just this renewed sense. Like I wish people like Colin would read this, because if you're just totally dissatisfied with Star Wars at this point and all you can do is just shit on it because it's all garbage to you, revisit this because it will bring it all back.
That's the thing. Like, yes, Disney fucked up, but this still exists. I have this.
It's in his hand.
Fucking hands. They can't take this away from me. And you know what? Good luck fucking trying.
Yeah.
Like
it's a subline of the Second Amendment.
It absolutely is. You could pry this from my cold dead hands because I'm a part of a well-trained militia that reads or something. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I can understand just hating everything Star Wars.
Yeah.
So much so that it kind of ruins your feeling about Star Wars. I'm in the same fucking boat. I still love Star Wars. I still have an entire library full of Star Wars books. But it wasn't until rereading what I started with that it reminded me why I love this so much.
Yeah.
So to take my, to change my comment, it was absolutely like you said, the feeling once I was done of this is why I'm so drawn to this series. Like the movies are great. Well, some of them are great. Mm-hmm. This is what hooked me and still to this day can grab me and just pull me out of reality.
Yeah. I would also say for those fans out there who were like me, who had only read the comics and maybe are only aware of these EU stories through the comics, please do yourselves a favor and actually read the novels. You get insight into a character's thinking that can't be presented in the comics, and the comics are truncated. It has to cut out a whole bunch of stuff just for time and publication space. So this adds so much more to the Star Wars universe that you will 100% love if you enjoy Star Wars at all. Mm-hmm. This is not one of those things where it's like, oh, go see the new series that's coming out. It's supposed to be a lot of fun. No. This is a guaranteed you will fucking love it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Do yourself a favor, because you owe it to yourself. You're a Star Wars fan. You've gone through some shit lately.
You fucking listen to us, for fuck's sake.
This is fair. You deserve this fucking novel.
Absolutely.
So fucking hook it up. All right. Anything else?
No, man. Can't wait for the next one.
Oh, so goddamn good.
Dark Force Rising, man.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It gets just messy and fucking delicious.
Yes, it does.
How I'll say it. Thank you all so much for watching today's Star Wars episode. What do you think about Heir to the Empire? Do you have a favorite Star Wars novel? Leave your comment below. Until next time, I wasn't even reading my outro. I was reading the comments. Until
next time, it's part 4 of the original trilogy.
Yeah. What the fuck? What is our outro? Until the Infernal Brotherhood convenes again, my fellow scruffy-looking Nerf herders. May the Force be with you.
You know, sometimes I still amaze myself. Han motherfucking Solo.
So good. Oh, this music gets me going too.